What's going on, guys? I'm back, and this is the video I told you guys I was going to release on stropping. If you watched my last video, you know I talked about this knife, and I talked about the fact that I don't think I've talked about stropping enough, and I think that stropping is very important, and it has a pretty good role in the maintenance of the edge of your knife, and you don't always have to sharpen a knife. Kind of like even the way I've spoken may lead you to believe. So you don't always have to sharpen, and I'll tell you why you don't want to always sharpen. As you sharpen, you're removing more steel than you necessarily need to remove. And I'm talking general use. I'm talking you don't have any major chips, rolls, nicks, dings, anything that has majorly deformed your edge. What stropping is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to take the edge you have, as long as you don't allow it to get too dull either, and it's going to allow you to realign that edge to some degree. So you're going to gain back some of the sharpness you lost in use. Or if you are sharpening a knife and it's fresh off of the stones, it allows you to refine the edge to an even finer degree, allowing for, what's the best way to say this? And like I said, I'm keeping this very entry level junior college type of conversation. If you want more in depth, KKnives Switzerland on YouTube, Big Brown Bear on YouTube, those guys will take you to graduate level and beyond if you want to have that type of a discussion. But what that will allow you to do if you do take your knife to a strop after you've taken it off of the stones, it refines that edge just that little bit more, and it will allow you to have a smoother cutting experience. Now, you may not always want that. What do I mean? So let's say, I know one of the classic examples is zip ties. If you are always cutting zip ties or something hard like that, harder plastics, you know, things that aren't as flexible, things that aren't as soft, you're gonna find that a smoother edge tends to slip off of those things a little bit more. Even with heavier cardboard, if you have an edge that's really polished, it may work fine on paper and lighter plastics and things of that nature. But if you really want to be able to kind of grab that material and cut it more efficiently, an edge with a little more tooth is what they call it, is more beneficial. So what I tend to do is I tend to sharpen to a 600 grit diamond edge, and then I follow up with this 1 micron CBN Ken Schwartz diamond spray. I'll kind of show you what I have here, what I have used, what I do use, and kind of walk you through how to strop at the end. So what do I have here? What I have here are several different things I have used in the past and or what I currently do use. So I have had this flex strop for, man, years and years and years. And basically what I have here is a quadratic is the name of the strop. He doesn't make this anymore, but it has 4 sides, obviously, hence quadratic. This is just naked leather. So if you just wanted to run your knife across here and knock a burr off or something of that nature, you could do that right here. Again, if you're not familiar with burr or any of those types of terms, I do have a sharpening playlist. You can check it out. I will link it at the end of this video, and you can see the different methods of sharpening that I use. Here we have well, let's start over here. Here we have black compound, which is roughly 3,000 grit. We have the green compound, which is roughly 6,000 grit. And we have the white compound, which is roughly 12,000 grit. And this is all Bark River compound. It comes in a block like this. A block will last you a lifetime. I think it's not too expensive. I think it's like $10 a block or something like that, maybe less. I think when I bought this stuff years ago, it was even cheaper than that. There are lots of different ways you can go about applying this stuff to a leather strop. I tend to prefer to heat the strop up a little bit, and you can do that with just a lighter if you don't have a blowtorch or something like that. You don't want to apply too much heat, you don't want to get too close, and you don't want to apply the heat for too long. You just want to kind of get it warm, and then you can kind of scribble on this like a crayon, and you can see what I'm saying, how this is just scribbled on there. And you can tell when it needs to be changed because you can see this black stuff. That is actually steel residue that's building up on the strop. And over time, it's going to lose, the strop is going to lose its efficiency, and you're going to need to remove this compound. What I do, and I have a video on that as well in that playlist, I tend to just wet the leather strop with rubbing alcohol. I rub that with my fingers, kind of massage that rubbing alcohol into the surface, and then I wipe it off with a something that's not going to leave behind too much lint. So whatever your preference is. And I repeat that process until the strop is pretty clean. The strop doesn't have to be perfectly clean. Also, when it does have some buildup, it can be fairly built up and you don't have to worry about it. So don't worry on either end. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean if you're going to clean it, and it doesn't have to not have any of this black residue if you're going to continue to use the strop. Just use it within reason. And then I reapply as I told you. So I've used this strop for a long time. From there, I moved on. Well, I didn't necessarily move on. I was using this strop here for a long time, even if I sharpened the knife on the wicked edge. And before I was doing that, I would use my diamond stones on my wicked edge, and then I would just use these strops that I have here, which are also leather, and these have a paste. Now, this is not the paste that goes on these stones, but this has more of a paste style compound. So the way I apply this is I just squirt like a little pea-sized drop onto the strop, and then I put the strops together kind of like they are here, and I rub them around and kind of disperse the compound along the edge, along the leather surface. And you don't want too much, so if there's too much, I try to kind of spread it out and wipe off what is too much, and then I start using the strop itself. Now, when you do that with these wicked edge strops in this type of compound, you are going to have some residual compound left on your knife. I just wipe the knife off. After a few knives, you get all the excess off of the strops. Everything is fine. It's good to go. Now what I have moved to is the, like I said, I sharpen up to about 600 grit on my wicked edge, or with this knife, I used a 500 grit Shawn Glass Pro Stone. And then I use this, which is, again, the Ken Schwartz 1 micron CBN diamond spray. Now, I talked to, I believe it was Roman, KKnives Switzerland, about this compound. And the CBN version of this spray is cheaper. And don't have sticker shock when you look at this. This compound, and I bet you in the comments, you'll see some comments of guys I've suggested this compound to. It's going to allow you to refine your edge, but also because it's a diamond spray, it's going to give you some of that tooth that I talked about. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And it is, I think, $25 or $30 per bottle. The, I think it's poly diamond is even more expensive than that. I think that's like $50 a bottle. So don't have sticker shock. Trust me, it's worth it. I've had this bottle for a year or so, and you can kind of see how much I've used here. And I showed in my last video how I apply this. Basically, every now and then I just spray some onto here. Again, this is just a smooth leather strop. It dries very quickly. You're ready to use it. So that is pretty much what I use as far as strops are concerned. Now, how do you use a strop? So the first thing, just covering the basics of using the strop before we even get to angles and things of that nature, is, you know, when you sharpen, and different guys use different methods. Some guys say only use trailing passes on a stone. Some guys say you can sharpen both directions. I tend to be a guy that sharpens in both directions, whether it's using my wicked edge or freehanding. So your mileage may vary. However, you only want to use edge trailing passes when you're stropping. What does edge trailing mean? Edge trailing means your edge is going to be at the back of your pass. So you're going to put the edge down and you're going to go away from that edge like this. So that way you're not cutting into your strop. If you go the other way, you're going to be cutting into your strop and you're not going to like that too much, because what's going to happen is you're going to start to have all kinds of divots and gouges in your strop. You can kind of see, you can see one right there. I put my knife on the edge of the strop, and that's one of the downsides of getting a knife so sharp. It just dug in just that little bit and peeled off some leather. It's not the end of the world, but you don't want your strop to get too gouged through putting your edge on the actual strop and digging into it. So I would avoid that. But you're just gonna make passes like this. I don't typically count. I know some guys do. I don't time it. I just do a few passes and then I come back, and it's the same thing. You want that edge to be at the back of your pass. You want to be pulling away from that edge. You do not want to do like that, because if you do like that, you're going to be slicing off pieces of your strop. So I'll do a few passes on this side. I'm using, you know, medium pressure. What you don't want to do, especially with a leather strop, and I mean, there are all kinds of strops. There are nano cloth strops, which is just a strop that has a very, very fine fabric. You can use cardboard with some of the various and assorted pastes and sprays that I showed you. You can use a leather belt. I mean, you can use your pants. You can use an old pair of pants. I mean, the types of strops are endless, but at the end of the day, what I use is a leather strop. And one of the downsides of a leather strop is if you push too hard, sometimes, depending on how soft your leather is, the leather will actually bow and you can roll your edge. And again, if you're not familiar with these terms, basically, if your edge is sharp like this, very pointy, you're going to end up rolling that edge and it's going to become dull. So you don't want to roll that edge. The other way to roll your edge when you're stropping is to not use the appropriate angle, go too steep, and then drag that edge across the strop. And you'll feel it once you get the feeling for finding your angle. You'll feel it, and you can feel that extra little bit of resistance, and you'll know it. You'll know it. And if you round the edge, especially if you round the edge pretty significantly, what's going to happen is you're going to have to end up sharpening that knife again. So you want to avoid that. Now, the way to find your angle, if you have trouble with that and you're still starting off finding your angle to strop a knife, what I would do is I would raise your knife up and I would pull back just a little bit, and you can see it's not digging in. I want to raise it up a little bit more. It's not digging in. I want to raise it up a little bit more. It's not digging in. Raise it up a little bit more. Now it's digging in. I can't move it. Now I'm not putting a lot of pressure on the knife, but I want to lower that angle just a little bit, and then I want to go ahead and use that as my angle to strop the knife. So that is how you can find the angle that you need to strop at. The tip, it is going to change a little bit at the tip, but again, you can just put it down there and keep raising that angle like this until you feel it dig in, back off some, and then make your pass. So that is how you can find your angle. That's how you use a strop. Those are the materials I use. I appreciate you guys watching. Remember, a lazy man carries a dull knife.